Hello, everyone. So, this is going to be a track by track review of the yet to be released Solarus's third studio album, A Dance with Tragedy, out on December 17th. So, I've already reviewed the album, and this time I'm going to be going track by track, going into basically everything. So, that's what we're doing here. It's going to be a 3-part video. The album consists of 9 songs, so it's going to be 3 songs, a video, where I'll talk all about the songs, go in depth, and you'll also be hearing clips of the new album. So the song I'll be talking about, I will be playing that song underneath me, not in its entirety though, only a few seconds on repeat until I move on to the next song, and then you'll get that track in just a few seconds on repeat. So that's what this is. So I hope you all join me. I hope you all enjoy the breakdown of absolutely everything and hearing the small snippets leading up to this incredible album out again on December 17th. You should go buy it. So let's get into it with the first track. So here we go. This is the first track, Waking Mind. And this is the first little teaser you're going to be getting, along with the rest of them coming shortly. So for an opening track, the track immediately actually starts off. The whole band is just immediately there. There is no real kind of build, anticipation, there is nothing. The band are just there out the gate starting off. Now, personally for me, I've discussed in my review of Darkest Days that there was that first track, which was an introduction that didn't seem to really lead anywhere. Just kind of something that goes on for a minute or so that doesn't really do anything, and then it kind of stops, and then the next track kind of comes in. It kind of makes it so the fact that it's so disconnected, it's not really an introduction. So I complain about intro tracks along these lines for these reasons, that you'll get a first track that goes on for a minute, 2 minutes, sometimes even 3 minutes, where nothing happens, and then the track just comes to a dead end. Then the first actual track begins with a build-up, then it starts. But if there's got a build-up and it starts, what was the point of the previous one? Even if it just immediately starts, the fact that it cuts off means that that's not built into anything. So I usually don't like that. I find it to be a complete waste of time and a waste of a track. Something you just skip when you put a disc in. Why listen to an intro track if it's not doing anything? You're just going to skip it. It's not really the played song, which is like, I hope they do this live. So the fact that the band kind of starts, I do prefer that than just having a mindless, useless introduction. But I still do like an introduction, so I am going to kind of contradict myself there. The fact that it kind of just starts immediately, there is no build-up. Now, I know I just complained about the being a track, but not done that way. I like a build-up that is within the same track, and it just goes immediately into the band. So just a little beginning segment of the track to have a build-up, and then the band will immediately come in afterwards, no cut-off or anything. Because you want that build of anticipation. There's a new album out, you don't know what's coming round the corner. So just that build, the anticipation, you put it in, something happening, something's brewing, the sound kind of comes up. Maybe it's delving into what the album's going for. Is it something dark? Is it kind of bright? Giving an idea, the anticipation. Because after this segment, the band's going to come in, what you are waiting for. So it's just the build, the anticipation, get the adrenaline flowing to get into it, instead of kind of just starting off super hard. It's like there's no build into it, which I think is something needed. Kind of like the band Avenged Sevenfold, most of their albums all start with this small segment that builds the album, the anticipation, gives a vibe and a mood and everything, and then the band immediately come in. It just gets you into it, it preps you up and gets you kind of ready. Like a workout, you don't just want to go racing in there because you're just going to kind of fall apart. You want to kind of, exercise and get into the rhythm, so then you can kind of get into it. So I would have liked there to be a slight introduction, but the fact that there isn't and immediately goes into it, and there's no mindless boring song to kind of begin, because that just gets you in the wrong mindset of just that was so incredibly boring and a waste of my time. So if anything, I would rather it be this than what Darkest Days had with the kind of intro track. So I would rather it be that. And speaking of the intro, even though I do say I would like the introduction, I am still going to say the intro is great for what it is. The fact that the whole band's there, it's full of energy, is a great way to start. And also the fact that, as I've mentioned, Lucas always does these leads instead of just doing a typical kind of riff. And that is immediately happening at the start of the song. Lucas is doing leads, it's got melody, it's musical, and I like that. It's so much better when you just start the album and already there is something musical, some melody going into it, some nice thought out guitar playing. The guitar enthusiast gets something really nice, it sounds great on the guitar, it's musical, which goes to everyone's listening pleasure, something musical and pleasant, and it's just a great sounding lead. It's so much better than just kind of riffs that kind of don't give kind of... there's no emotion to it. What a lead can do can give melody and emotion, a vibe. It paints a picture, which a riff... I'm not going to say it can't do, I'm just going to say it's harder to achieve that with just typical riffing to kind of get a great melody or anything across. It can be done, it's just a lot harder than if you just go at it with a lead, because you can tell and say a lot more with lead work instead of being held back by just typical riffing. So great introduction, just full of energy, they're out the gate just going. The lead is going off, so it's musical, it's got melody to it, it's fantastic. Eventually we break into a bit of a riff, and then we kind of cut out a little bit. There's just this little moment of some orchestral kind of stuff going in, and that brings us into our actual verse where Sarah comes in. Now this is where I can kind of plug the greatness of what a great mix and production can do. You hear Sarah and she just sounds so much better, and this is due to the mix and mastering that really helps her here. Now, Reunion and Darkest Days, Sarah was known as a great singer, and she is, and it was an angelic voice, which it was, but this has drastically just improved on her. It just goes to show just what a good production and mix can do. Her voice is just fuller now. It's like it cleans up all the kind of edges instead of being kind of dry and everything. There's just kind of more warmth to it. It's fuller, it's cleaner, and it's the way the voice is supposed to be, kind of more organic. It's just so much cleaner and not rough around the edges anymore, and fuller. The layering as well, just to give her kind of more power. There's some effects that kind of go in there just to, again, just bring that kind of power out and just authority. It's incredible. So Sarah, definitely out the gate, you can tell there is something different, and that is because they have laid and mixed her differently this time, and it really, really helps. So Sarah sounds great, and the verse is going. The riffs are not the most technical that the album will deliver, but it isn't anything ultra basic. Sarah's sounding kind of like what you've come to have heard before. The only difference is obviously the mix is kind of helped. There is some effects that are put in there with Sarah where she's kind of laid underneath her, so she'll sing kind of a part, and then in between her kind of pause and everything, she's then put back in again with a different kind of effect. I really, really like this, instead of just singing it as one big kind of block and everything. Having the vocalist have an effect on her voice and being kind of put in between, like her own backing vocals, I think just gives a kind of more broadness to the kind of sound. It just makes the song a lot bigger, instead of, as I said, just one just block of this is the kind of singing style and that'll be it from start to end of a verse. It just gives a lot more variation, variety, and a lot more kind of layers to it, which I think drastically kind of helps. Then we kind of get into the chorus. Before the chorus starts, Sarah kind of holds on the notes and everything. It sounds absolutely beautiful. We get some kind of keys in there. It's really light and pleasant. And this is a very nice kind of easy way to just ease us into the kind of chorus, because we're introduced to one of the first kind of big epic things about this album, which is the new kind of abilities that Sarah's learnt along the way. I think she already knew it. It's just she's just now starting to do it. But you hear it in the clips I've shown you. The first little part, she sings in a more kind of operatic way. She hasn't done this ever before. I think the closest is probably Arrival off Darkest Days, where it's kind of operatic but isn't really fully there. As for in this, she fully commits. So immediately when you get into this chorus, she's there with the orchestral kind of voice. It sounds absolutely kind of incredible, but it's only one word, which is just feel. So it's like, I feel, and then the kind of feel and everything's kind of orchestral. Then she goes into her kind of, what you expect from Sarah. Now, this could be deliberate. I'm not actually sure. But I do think it is kind of smart just to do that one word, because you've never heard it before. So you've listened to Reunion, you've listened to Darkest Days, you come into this track, it's going along. And then you just get that one orchestral, vocal from Sarah, that operatic note that she's doing. And it surprised you, because you've never heard it before. Just it's that one word. And then you immediately think, because I thought it, of, I wonder if there's going to be more of this. Because you've never heard it before. It sounds phenomenal. So it's that tease, because it leaves you wanting more. Instead of just having the entire chorus, the first song, just blatantly Sarah's just absolutely barfing out constant opera-style singing, and just kind of ruins it. You just put that little kind of nugget in there, just this little thing, so people are just anticipating and hoping that there is more of it. Because then you got that excitement of, you don't know what to expect, but you are hoping for this part to return, so it gets you excited. And I was going through the album just like, wow, that was different. I didn't know she could do that. I wonder if she can do more of that. I wonder if she can do it longer. It's just the one word. Maybe that's all she can do. Maybe there could be more. And it just gets your head going. You get really excited and antsy, and it's just like, I want there to be more. And that's really what it does. So I don't know if that was what they were going for, but to me, that's what you kind of do if you really want to be smart about it. You just give them that little taste. It's like, just give them that, and then take it away, because they won't know if there'll be any more, and they'll want it. So leave them wanting more, and that is what it does. We get into the second verse. There's not really much difference here. There's a bit more kind of keys in there, which I think kind of beautifies the kind of sound and everything of this verse compared to the kind of first one, because of the keys. And the song kind of progresses like it does until we kind of start getting into our solo. So the solo is kind of chopped up into like 3 parts, which is a little kind of unusual. The first part is the kind of like actual solo, which is from Lucas. It's kind of a mid-tempo solo, quite technical and everything, got a bit of speed to it, not overly too much. It's kind of mid-tempo, kind of speed shred kind of solo. And then when it kind of stops, it kind of just goes into kind of complex kind of riffing. And you kind of think you're coming out of it, because it's no longer a lead, even though what's being played is still kind of complex and everything, and tricky. But then after the riffing is kind of done, it goes into another kind of solo. Doesn't really last as long, it's just like a few seconds of just this kind of melody and everything, and the tone just sounds great. And that is the solo. So it's like 3 sections of just the main part being kind of mid-tempo, fast, technical. Then you get technical kind of riffing, and then you get the kind of melodic just little snippet at the end. So it's kind of a bit weird, the kind of layout there. My opinion is I really like that last segment because the tone of it is incredible. I also really like the melody. I just think melody is just such a nice kind of sound. It's obviously the nicest sound you get, so a really good melody. I think it's brilliant. So the fact that it's only a few seconds, I kind of feel like it should be expanded on. Like, it is kind of a longish kind of solo as is, and it's all fine. It's just the melody is such a short segment, and I like it so much. I kind of want to hear more of it because there isn't really much of it in the way of this kind of album, anything like that kind of melodic at all. So it's kind of disappointing. So I wish they had big segments like that in the album, and the fact that it was just such a small snippet. I always adore it when it comes up because it just sounds so nice, but I just kind of feel like it's been cut off, unfortunately, too soon. I really wish it was kind of expanded on. Then we come back into the chorus. The outro was the lead of the kind of intro, so front to back, just musical melody, brilliant. We got the great mix on Sarah's voice now, sounding great. Some good kind of layering kind of underneath, giving her that backing kind of track under her frontal track, which is brilliant. You get the little tease of her operatic style, which really does surprise if you're not aware of it coming. So I've kind of spoiled it for you, which is unfortunate, but it does leave you wanting more, and it just gets you excited for the tracks to come because of it. So that is Waking Mind. Let's get into track 2. You've all heard it before, so you guessed it, it's Shades of Truth. Didn't really have to guess it because I've written it on the screen. So yeah, Shades of Truth, first single that the band ever actually released for the album. I have already actually even reviewed it, but it would be weird if I skipped it, so I'll do it again here just to keep it consistent. So Shades of Truth is the second track, first single the band released, and as per usual, the great thing with Solarus is it starts off with some great lead work, just constantly keeping the introduction of the song relatively interesting instead of just waiting for the verse to kick in, so then the singer can kind of lead it all. No, that's not how Solarus do it. The guitarist does stand on his own and is just as good as the rest of them. And yep, Shades of Truth is probably one of the more complicated intros. Even Lucas, I think, kind of agrees, saying this is actually the most complex, if not one of them, lead intros of the entire album. So while you got in the previous track a lead that was a lot more kind of like musical, had great melody, this one is kind of musical just for the fact that it is actually a lead, not a riff. But a lot more technical, like has a lot of technicality to it and everything. When Lucas kind of finishes up with that kind of lead, we get into our kind of typical riffing to lead into our verse. A lot more orchestration on this one. You can hear the orchestration as for in the previous track that wasn't really there to this extent. So a lot of orchestration leading into our verse. Sarah again sounding phenomenal due to the kind of mix. The kind of sound of her voice in here sounds so kind of spacey, and by that I kind of mean like it's not tight. The sound on her voice, it's like there's like a haunting like echo to it, and I think that's probably what they were going for with this. Her voice is quite kind of haunting. Still beautiful and everything, it always is. That is just Sarah's voice for you. It is beautiful, but just the fact that the voice kind of has this little kind of trail off when she sings, it kind of feels like this empty room. You can kind of hear the kind of echo of the walls and everything. So it's quite spatial and everything, Sarah's voice, and it just gives it that haunting kind of sound, which goes with the tone of the song really. This song is quite heavy. Again, you got that very technical kind of introduction, then the kind of orchestra, which can also sound quite haunting and menacing in itself. And then Sarah sounding, you know, spatial and hearing that kind of echo and everything with this kind of angelic voice. It does kind of sound quite creepy. The riff itself isn't as technical as the first track. What they're going for now is just beefy riffs. So a lot of kind of bass and everything in the verse for this track, just trying to sound very full of gain, heavy, aggressive, brutal, with Sarah with that kind of spatial, kind of haunting kind of sound and everything. It's two very nice contrasts, the kind of belting bass and everything with the kind of angelic, haunting kind of vibe on top of it that Sarah kind of brings with that spatial stuff, while the bass is just thick and everything. So two very nice contrasts of kind of sounds here, very nicely done and everything. Goes to show how good the songwriting is, just that they kind of think about these things as well. Instead of, you know, you're a vocalist going, just kind of sing it into your mic and be done. No, think about the kind of mix and everything, what your song's going for, what are we trying to portray. We want it to be heavy, you know, maybe kind of creepy, so how can we achieve that? Musically, we'll do the kind of bass. Sarah will give her a kind of like this haunting kind of effect into her kind of voice. Yeah, just play with it a bit instead of just doing the basics. So I like that with Solarus. They always kind of think about it. They really kind of think about the melodies and the tone and everything, technicality, always making sure everyone kind of has their part to play in everything, instead of just when the singer's there, let's just focus on her because the rest of us don't really matter. The whole band matters in Solarus. It's absolutely phenomenal. So then that kind of takes us to our chorus and everything. It's big, it's epic. Not really much to say about it. It's just Solarus, really. The next interesting part is coming out of the chorus for the kind of bridge section. Lucas plays a whole new kind of different style here. This has not been done before in Solarus, so again, something brand new, which is something you want from a band. You constantly want them to kind of improve on what came before, and also do some new things, keep it exciting. You don't want an album to just be the same over and over and over again, because then it just becomes cliche, it becomes repetitive. You know what it is, you've heard it before, it becomes boring quicker. You want it to be Solarus, but you want it to be a new evolution of the band. So you want them to change things. So this bridge section, Lucas starts doing some gent-style guitar riffing. It's thick, it's meaty, it's aggressive, it's very hard, to the point, and again, kind of going with the vibe that the music is kind of putting out. Sarah comes back in with her kind of like haunting, echoing kind of vocals and everything, ghostly style. Just kind of great how they've kind of thought about it. Absolutely phenomenal work. Leading into our solo. Bit more to the solo, as I said, there was with the previous track, Awaken Mind, but it was kind of split into like the three kind of pieces. As for this one, is one full kind of piece and everything. Again, it kind of goes with the same kind of tempo, as it's kind of mid-tempo. It has the kind of technicality in there as well to it. I kind of like the section that kind of ends the solo, because it kind of goes into like a kind of dueling kind of guitar kind of style and everything, which again I kind of think is the more kind of melody kind of driven area of the solo, while the first part is like a technicality feat and everything. It still has melody to it. It's not like he's just going off on one. No, he isn't. It's a bit more thoughtful than that. But definitely the latter part I find more kind of musical to me, the kind of dueling guitar style. So yeah, that's Shades of Truth. You've heard it before. Let's get into the final track for part one, and the best track on the album, the one I'm really excited for everyone to hear and to talk about. The Keeper is just the perfect track. It's the track where everything just kind of comes together and just works perfectly. Everything, the intro, the verses, the melodies, the chorus, the solo, everything just works. Everything comes together and it just fits. It's perfect. This is it for Solarus. The Keeper is the perfect track. Bands will come out and they'll do a track that is just stands above everything else, and they'll do album after album, but that one track just defines them. They are known for it because it is their brilliant, it is their iconic track. The Keeper is that for Solarus. It is the iconic track. It is what will define the band until they find another one, but it'll be hard to match this track again. It is just perfect. They nailed everything. Everything works with the Keeper. So as per usual, Lucas has to bring us in with another lead. Going back to like the first track, Wake in Mind, with just it being a lot more kind of melody driven, more melodic and everything, sounding quite pleasant, which really sets us up for going into this song, because the song is just overall just so pleasing, just so nice. The melodies are just nailed to perfection. So just the intro just kind of being an extension of that just really sets you up along that kind of melodic, kind of phenomenal melody kind of journey that this song is going to take you on. So when the verse kicks in, after the great introduction, Sarah is just perfect. She's perfect. The guitars aren't going crazy, they are just fundamentally just being the backbone of just keeping that kind of beat kind of going and everything. Sarah just comes in with this really graceful, she's not being powerful or anything, it's just being light and graceful with this phenomenal vocal melody. The melody of her voice, the second it comes in, which is the start of the clip, I've just put in that first verse so you can hear it for yourselves. Her vocal melody is perfect. Her tone nailed to perfection. It's just nailed. The melody is so good. The tone is so nice. The way she just flows through the song, she just flows like a cloud over the band. It's nailed. But that's not the end of it. Then comes the second verse. The band now come in with a bit more kind of energy and melody to them. Sarah shifts into matching that with a bit more energy in her melody, so it gets a bit more kind of upbeat. The energy lifts, which is to bring you into the chorus, which I shut it off so none of you can actually hear it. I've spoiled it for you in the first track. I am not going to show you it until the album drops. You're not going to hear it. The chorus, she comes in with the operatic voice. The chorus, she goes right into it. It's full-on Nightwish style. And that isn't the... it's not the whole chorus, she does come out of it, but it's not even the best part. It is brilliant, and it is, in a way, the best part, but as I said, everything has been nailed so far. It is a big signature piece of the song, yes. But even when she comes out of it, it's not disappointing because she naturally flows out of it. She doesn't just stop and go on to the next word. She goes operatic and then it flows into her normal voice. Then she goes back in and out, and it's phenomenal. The way her voice just flows, the melody, it's phenomenal. And then even taking it back into the second verse, it's all shifted again. It's just different. And it just works perfectly. The solo, again, it's got mid-tempo, it's got a bit of melody to it. It works perfectly fine. But what I overall enjoy is just the nature of the song and the songwriting. So what I enjoy is after the solo, it doesn't go back to a chorus. There's no kind of riff or something that takes us back. There's no like trying to bridge a gap. It's just a whole new segment with Sarah and the band. Something completely new. A lot of energy, great melody to it. Absolutely nailed. The energy, the flow, the melody of it, perfectly done. And then it gives us a little breathe. Just goes back to the introduction lead that Lucas did. The entire band just open up and pause just to get that lead in there. Just to breathe. You've been on such a journey. It's been so epic. Just this momentary peace as we then transcended back into the chorus. The chorus goes, and it goes. Is this going to be the end? No. Let's mix that section that came after the solo, the vocal melody in the band and everything, and tie that in with the chorus, and we'll just jump between the two perfectly in unison. Why not bring Lucas in with their lead and everything? Everything is just going off on all cylinders. You got the melody that came after the solo, you got the melody, the perfection of the actual chorus, and then you've got Lucas doing some lead work. And because the energy and everything is just going so perfectly, you can't just end it. So the way they bring the song to an end is just turn the volume down. While the band is just going on full energy, just energy is up. The songwriting is perfect. The melodies are perfect. They're just going and going and going with no end in sight. So you just turn them down, because you can't end it. It's just too perfect to end. So the only way to do it is just you turn it down. It sucks in one aspect because it is so perfect, the song. You don't want the thing to end. It is so out there beyond everything they have done. It is such a perfectly made song with great melodies and performances all across the board. They just nailed it here. You can't end it. The only way to do it is turn it down. And you don't even want them to do that, because it is phenomenal. You don't want it to end. And that is it for this video. The next video is going to be a bit after, because I have to wait for the band to announce who their special guest is, because it's going to be very hard for me to go in depth on that song without being able to say who on earth this person is, what is happening, or anything in the way of that, or to even put a clip in. It would be very hard. So that's it from me. 3 tracks broken down with the clips in the background. So I hope you enjoyed the clips that you got. I hope it's building the excitement. I hope everything I said makes it sound absolutely great. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone back in part 2. Until then, see you next time.